Hi everybody, very welcome to this special edition of my live stream here on YouTube. Thank you very much, all of you who has made this possible. I have just reached the 100,000 subscriber mark here on the channel. It's absolutely amazing, and I want to say thank you to all of you. All of you are here because you are the core of my subscribers, the ones who really wants to view my videos, the ones who are always commenting, the ones who are always asking questions. It's because of you that I've managed to get this far. So I want to say a huge thank you to you, first of all. I want to say a thank you to all of my supporters on Patreon, all of my supporters who's been helping me so far with all kinds of things. I have Martin Duchak, for example, who has been helping me with my thumbnails. I'm sure that you've realized that they've gotten much better lately. I've got well, I've got loads and loads of people. I'm going to try to remember to mention all of you during the stream, so just stay tuned. It's absolutely amazing. Right. I'm going to use this live stream to answer your questions, just like I always do. But I want to start with saying a few words about you guys, first of all. Give you a little bit of statistics so far. All right, so I'm taking a look at the channel. I've been running this channel for almost 3 years now. And 3 years is a long time, okay? We've amassed quite a lot of information during this time, okay? It's literally hundreds of videos out there. I am thinking that most of you probably haven't seen them all, but there are some real gems out there that I do recommend you to see. Some of them I recommend you not to see, okay? When I'm looking back at my all the videos that I did in the beginning of the channel, you know, basically my face goes red. That's how bad they are. But the information in them are largely correct. It's just the way that it's presented, the way that the videos are made. It's horrible, but anyway. Right, a little bit of statistics then, guys. So during the channel life so far, I have gotten 3,864 dislikes. Okay, so 864 dislikes in the entire channel, and those basically comes from, I think, 3 guys who are disliking every single one of my videos. Then on the positive side, I've gotten 228,075 likes. Okay, 228,075 likes, and that's all you guys who have been liking the videos, who've been sending them on to friends, telling me, you know, what to talk about. That's all you're doing. So that's fantastic. How many comments have I had then? Well, you guys are really adding up now. Every time I do a live stream, there are hundreds and hundreds of these comments. So far, in the life of the channel, I've gotten 105,568 different comments. Okay, that is a lot. And I am doing my best, guys, to answer all of the questions you're sending in. I hope you've noticed that. But as you might imagine, 105,000 comments, I won't be able to kind of personally address them all, but I am doing my best. Every time I see a question that I kind of note it down in here, just remembering that, all right, that question has come up, and if I see it coming over and over again, well then obviously I will be attending to it and doing videos on it. And as I'm sure you're aware, it doesn't matter, there's no stupid questions, okay? I try to answer all of them from the best of my capability. So 22% of you guys are sitting in the US. So US is by far the biggest viewing market so far. Everyone in the US. I hope you guys, even though I'm talking largely about EASA rules and stuff, that you guys are enjoying it anyway. And if you guys want me to dig deeper into the US side of things, the FAA side of things, well then let me know. I have quite a lot of friends, other YouTubers as well, who are working in the US, who will probably be really helpful in getting some information for me, okay, to help you out with that. 15% are from the UK, whoop whoop, big shout out for the UK, and 5% are from India, these are the 3 top countries out there who are watching the channel. So if you are not in the top 3 list, well then get your friends over and look more at the Mentour Pilot channel. I'm sure that when we hit the 200,000 mark, that your country will be on there instead. It's 95% male people watching the channel and 5% female, and unfortunately that is exactly the kind of percentage we have inside of the market. as well. Inside of the aviation world, it tends to be 95% men and 5% female. Now, this is something that I'm really hoping will change during the coming years. Okay, I want more girls out there, more of you who are watching this, those 5% of you who are watching this and really want to become pilots. Make sure that you push for it. We need more females in the industry. So 95% guys, 5% girls is not good enough, right? We need to even that out. I want to see, yeah, well, you know, in a perfect world you have 50-50, but you know, a 60-40 or something would if that can be achieved during the lifetime of this channel, I will be really, really happy. So that's kind of some of the statistics that I wanted to share with you guys. Also, I wanted to say a few words about why I think that this channel has been doing as well as it has. All right, and this is something that goes for you if you want to succeed as well. Now, it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be a YouTube channel. It doesn't need to be becoming a pilot, but it's just general stuff that you need to be aware of, things that I've been thinking about when I realized that I would cross the 100,000 mark. 1. Grit. Grit and determination, guys, is your single sharpest weapon in your strive against excellence. Okay? Towards excellence, I should say. Like, nothing in this world will come for free, guys. Everything that you want is going to need work, and hard work at that. When I was 14 years old, then I decided I want to become an airline pilot. Okay, I was terrible at math and physics at that point, but I had a goal. The goal was clearly set in my horizon. I knew exactly what roads I needed to take in order to get there. And those roads went over some really bumpy mathematical exams and stuff like that. I knew they were coming, so I just had to work hard, nights, weekends, evenings. I just worked, okay? Because I knew that there's no way around it, all right? There's no easy path to getting where you want. If you're bad at something that you need to be good at in order to achieve your goal, well, then you have to work at it. And that's what I did. So from 14 until 17, I improved my grades from a fairly average grade until, you know, excellent marks. And I did that because I knew that that was the only way, the only chance I had to get into the government-sponsored school that I eventually got into. So grit and determination is one thing. All right. Number 2, and this is something I'm getting a lot from you guys. Do not listen to the haters. Okay, there will always be haters out there. Hopefully the haters are not in your own family, but there will be people around you who tells you that your life goal, what you want to do, is impossible, or that you shouldn't do it. Don't listen to them. All right. The only times you should listen to people who comes with negative news is if it's people that you really trust and you can look in their eyes and realize that what they're saying is there to help you. Okay, is there to provide you with guidance. But you will find that those people, they will not tell you what you cannot do. They will tell you how to do what you want to do, right? What you should be kind of avoiding and what you should maybe doing less or more of. They are constructive. Listen to your friends who are giving you constructive advice. Never listen to the haters. The only thing you hear from them is a reflection of their own views and their own weaknesses. They tell you that you cannot do something because they believe that they cannot do that same thing. So do not listen to the haters. That's number 2. Number 3, you cannot do stuff alone. I could never have reached 100,000 subscribers if it wasn't for you guys. If it wasn't for people like Joanna Gramont, who's been helping me with videos, Egils Arais, who have been helping me with the intro and the outro. You know, that intro that everyone is talking about, the 777 that's coming, that's Egil who's been doing that. There's loads of people. Miguel Solans is helping me with my Facebook page, for example. Loads of people around who are dedicating their precious time to helping me reach out to you and share whatever knowledge that I have. Now, I have been told, I'm getting good feedback from you guys as well. And one thing that the feedback that I'm getting is like, you sound too perfect, dude. You cannot do or be like that. And it's absolutely true. Okay, what I'm telling you guys is knowledge that I have attained during my 16 years in the industry, and the years before I got into the industry, things that I've learned over time. Okay, it doesn't mean that I personally can fulfill all of these things. I have bad days as well. You know, sometimes I feel like a bad instructor. Sometimes I feel like a better instructor. But what I'm teaching you guys and what I'm trying to share with this channel is kind of the distilled version of what I would like, what I'm kind of working towards myself. Right? So when I'm giving you these kind of tips, it doesn't mean that I am following that like an arrow myself. It means that this is what I would like to be able to follow myself, and I'm working my hardest and damnedest to try to achieve it. Okay, so you, and this once again, you cannot achieve stuff by yourself, right? Alone is not strong. You are strong in a crew, in a team. Now you need to utilize your team members to the best capacity. They need to feel that they're part of something, which I'm hoping that all of you who are part of my Patreon crew, for example, really feel that even though I am the spokesperson, the one in the channel who is sharing the knowledge and the information, you guys are helping me doing so, and by facilitating that, you are part of this channel as well. And all of you guys are sending in questions, all of you who are tipping off people about the Mentour Aviation app, or participating in discussions inside there, or just being part of this community, you are part of the Mentour pilot crew. All right, I cannot overemphasize that. You cannot get anything done unless you get help from people who are really skilled at what they do. And I am definitely not skilled at all of the things that is required in order to build a YouTube channel of this size. So thank you, all of you. You guys know who you are. Those of you who has been with me from the beginning, I am really impressed. I'm looking back, I've been doing this since 2015, so it's 3 years now. And some of the people who are commenting on here are still commenting now after 3 years, having seen these live streams and seen my videos. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, guys, that's what I wanted to say. That's how I wanted to start off this this live stream. Okay, now I realize that there's loads of people who are coming in now with the super chat. Like always, I will try to answer all of the questions that comes up on the super chat. And the Mentour Aviation app, when people are sending in questions to me through the app, I see they're already starting to pop up here. I'll do my best, all right? And I will be here. I'll try to be here as long as you guys want. But from all of you who've been saying congratulations, thank you from the bottom of my heart, and realize that you are as much part of the success of this channel as I am. Okay, Edward Cameron, you were the first one out on the super chat. You were in and you had already donated in the super chat before this live stream even started. Thank you very much for your support. Edward is one of the biggest supporters here on the super chat. It is really appreciated, and I do recognize all of the support that you're getting. So thank you very much, and all of the help that you guys are providing in order to grow this channel bigger is really appreciated, and I do notice it. I see it. All right. Joel Klein, thank you very much for you as well. And Joel Klein also had a question, which will be today's first question. So, every job has something that you hate, but it's a package of the job. And so, it's the opposite. Something you would do for free because you love it. What are those two in your career? All right, so being a pilot has some real downsides to it. There's no question about it. The kind of financial strain that you put yourself under when you do your training is not a great thing, but it doesn't have anything to do really with the job per se. But something that is really, really bad, and that I have started to notice now the last couple of weeks, is being away from your kids. All right, being away from your family and your kids, it hurts. It hurts in the heart and goes to the bottom of the soul. Okay, it's absolutely soul eating. So I have been fortunate so far to work in a company where I'm not away from my kids that often. Okay, but now during the winter, since we've been downsizing in my base, I've been forced to be away, be in the simulator much more, which means that I'm away from my kids, and that hurts. Okay, so one thing that I hate with my job would be when I'm forced to be away from my kids and I don't want to. Okay. On the other hand, there are so many upsides. The people I meet, the training I get to do, the people I get to work with, the fantastic flights, the takeoffs, the landings, the weather, the sunsets, the sunrises. There's so many things that plays on the upside. So all in all, it's a fantastic job. Anyway, all right. Something I would do for free is this. Right, right. I realized that um, do get money in through both Patreon, the YouTube ads, and here in the super chat, and all of that is really helpful. Okay, it helps to compensate for the time that I'm spending away. But to be perfectly honest, the feedback that I'm getting from you is payment enough. It's the feeling I get from meeting up with people who says that, listen, I listened to your advice, I finally took that step, I reached in, I went for it. It doesn't have to be aviation, mind you. It can be something else. Maybe someone always wanted to become an archaeologist, or a painter, or a singer, or a songwriter, or whatever it might be. The fact is that what I'm trying to teach here is for people to look down deep into themselves, think, what do I want? What is my goal? And go for it. And every time that I meet someone, and I do start to meet them quite often now, who says that, listen, I did that, and I listened to that, and I really went for it, and yeah, every time I get that, that is payment enough. All right, so sharing knowledge, at the time of this, in the form of this medium, is great. So what I would like to do more of, actually, is going out and meet you guys. I would like to go out to flight schools. I would like to go out like I did the other week. I just popped into some cadets that were training for the line training and gave them some tips. Those kind of things are really rewarding, and I'm hoping to do more of that. Hope that answers your question. Aidan, thank you very much. Bikey, the same, thank you. There's lots of people who are just pitching in here in order to say thank you. Um, Edward Cameron, yeah, over 3,000 accidental dislikes. I don't think that they were accidental. I'm always amazed. Like today, I sent this video out that I'm hoping that you've all seen, which is my celebratory video about, I've just taken some random clips, put them together into a celebration video about 100,000 subscribers, and I immediately got 3 dislikes. And I'm just wondering, like, those probably are the same 3 people who dislikes every single one of my video. And to some extent, I think it's kind of funny, because it means that there's 3 people who takes their time to go out and look through a video, if they do, and dislike it. Right, just the time it takes to do that, you could be watching something else that you like what some chef program or whatever it is that you like. But anyway, that's I have my hobby, which is doing this. They have their hobby, which is doing that. So who am I to judge? Cese21, thank you very much. Same to Aidan737. Please, can you share some tips for revision? I have my GCSEs coming up in 11 weeks. Also, how could I become a pilot without money readily available? I live in the UK. Yeah, when it comes to revision, like, unfortunately, there's no way around it. It's the same as every time that I've had a theoretical exam or a mathematical exam and stuff. You just have to be consistent. You have to spend, have some kind of schedule. If there's a lot of exams coming up at the same time, well, then you have to schedule your revisions so that you don't spend too much time on one subject, but kind of give yourself time for each subject. Take some time in between. Make sure you do that. Make sure you go out, take some fresh air, take a walk, exercise a little bit, eat well, and then continue to study, and just do that more and more until you get close to the exams. I don't recommend you to cram during the same day. Actually, I know people are sitting cramming, because the problem is with that you tend to just remember the last thing you read. So it's better to use these 11 weeks to kind of soft yourself into it, do the revision as you go along, and then keep the same kind of rhythm as you're coming closer to your exams, and can then kind of make sure that you're chilled and rested before the exams actually come. I find, at least for me, that works the best. The question of becoming a pilot without money is something that I unfortunately don't have a good resolution to, right? I am doing my best. My work on the channel, to some extent, actually includes trying to push airlines and organizations and schools against sponsoring the aviation training themselves, and if they can't fully sponsor it, then at least try to bond people, so take the financial strain away. But if that's not available, then you know you can do like Dyfrig, for example. If you've been following the Mentor cadets, which by the way I've kind of wound down because I didn't feel that there was enough interest in the series as such, but the people are still there. Dyfrig is still there. He didn't have the money. He's been going at it from a completely different perspective. So I would recommend that, you know, go back in, look at my playlist, Mentor Cadets, see what Dyfrig was doing, and take some kind of advice from that. What you can do, what you always can do, is get yourself a job. All right, get yourself a job. Live as cheap as you can, save as much money as you can, use that money onto training. That way you'll be able to basically pay for your training as you go along, which means you won't need such a huge loan at the end. You probably need a little bit of a loan, maybe if you need to buy a type rating as part of an airline job. I want to emphasize that, only buy a type rating as part of an airline job offer. You might need that at the end, but at least you won't have to take this enormous like £120,000 loan that some people are doing. Okay, so there is possibilities. There's always a way. All right, it might not be easy, but it is there. Okay. John Schumacher, thank you very much as well. John is one of the other really big contributors here on the super chat. It's greatly appreciated. Pietro Clarici, thank you. Since January 2016, really, yeah, that's a long time. So that means that you was here during, well, the channel must have been only like 8 months old then. So great to see you here. Dog Paulie, good to see you here, Dog. Another familiar face, I must say. Evening Mentor, what makes you most nervous or uncomfortable even flying? Weather. All right, so not nervous, but more focused, I would say. When I go into and I see weather like it was last week, for example, in Northern Europe, where you see almost hurricane winds combined with snow, and you know you have to get in there. And that weather is not going to be only at your destination airport, it's also going to be at your alternate, and there's going to be loads of people who, just like you, might need to divert. Well, then you don't get nervous, but you do definitely get tense. All right, you need to really carefully plan so that you don't get yourself in a situation where you don't have any alternatives left. Okay, so bad weather like that, like horrendous weather, that's probably what makes me more nervous. The rest, you do the best you can whenever it happens. You can't go around being nervous about, the aircraft breaking down or passengers getting sick or something. You just have to react to it on the day when it happens. Mark J, most airlines don't hire graduate pilots older than 31. Do you agree? I'm 23, about to finish a 3-year CS degree. I'm enrolled to get another 2-year degree. Instead, should I start working on being able to make it, finance time? It's very hard for me to say. All right, my company does not look at age that way. Okay, I know that, for example, there are some flight schools who don't take in people who are older than 35. SAA mentioned that as a rule for them. I don't know if that's something that they still do. That might have changed. Airlines, I can't really speak for everyone. You should be able to go into their websites and see if they have any age restrictions. It would surprise me if they did, because I don't think that they're even allowed to age discriminate. But I would say that, above 35, then it's not impossible. All right, like I've done even videos on people who started this and got a job when they were 50, so it is possible, but it becomes increasingly harder for a couple of reasons. A, because your life, you become less flexible. I'm 36 years old now, and I can feel myself that I am a slower learner now than I was when I was 20, 25. Okay, so that has an impact. There's no question about that. How much it is going to be individual. The other thing is that your life is less flexible, as in you might have a family by then. You might not be able to take the change of country to live in, the lower salary that it tends to be in the beginning of your career. Like in the beginning of career, you really have to be scrappy and maybe live on less salary than you used to. So making a career change when you're above 35 to becoming a cadet pilot in a low-fare airline, maybe in Europe with a much lower salary, that is also hard, all right? And it's hard to get your way around, especially if you spend loads and loads of money becoming a pilot in the first place. But whether or not there are actually some restrictions in it, I can't say why either yes or no on that question, all right? Because I can't speak for all the different airlines out there. I hope that but put it like this: if you start before you're 30, it shouldn't be a problem. Right? It shouldn't be. Cool, right. I'm still working off the super chat things here, guys. So I see that loads of you have questions. I'm gonna go back up to the chat later on. I also have to have a look at the Mentour Aviation app here. Edvin Lindelöf vill tacka för en riktigt bra kanal. Alltid intressanta videos. Ett rent nöje att följa dig. That's Swedish for I like the channel and I like following you, basically. Thank you very much, Edvin. Thank you for your support. It's greatly appreciated. Det är sjukt kul att se så mycket svenskar här på kanalen. Okej, mer svenskar. Jag vill ha mer svenskar här. Därför att det är alltid roligt att svara på era frågor. So that's a little shout out to my Swedish friends. Like I'm saying, I love to have so many different nationalities in here. I would love to see more Swedes in here, since Sweden is my home country. But I will not be doing anything on Swedish, I think, because it just sounds weird when I'm speaking aviation in Swedish. Actually, I'm switching between English and Swedish all the time, so it's probably not going to happen. Right, then there's someone here on the super chat, I would say from Russia. I can't pronounce, unfortunately, the accredited alphabet, so I'm just going to say thank you very much. So sorry for this kind of question, but did any of the pilots you knew or at least heard of died naturally in flight? Is it an emergency landing then? Fortunately, none of my friends or people that I have and have any connection to have died. I have had colleagues who have died in flight. I think it was back in 2007 maybe. Then we had a captain who unfortunately had a heart attack, and he didn't die in flight, but he got a heart attack, got completely incapacitated, lost his conscious, and subsequently died once they get down on the ground. And yes, a pilot incapacitation is always an emergency. Okay, no matter if they get back again, let's say that you just faint and then 2 minutes later you wake up and say, oh, I'm fine. That's still considered a incapacitation. You are not allowed to get back into the flight. It's a mayday call. You have to get down. You're going to go into hospital and you will be grounded until a flight doctor have cleared you for flying again. So yeah, anytime that a pilot actually dies in flight is an emergency. Now, having said that, the first officers are completely qualified to fly the aircraft down and land it by themselves. Okay, it's just that the fail-safe is not there anymore. All right, the people who would pick it up in case they you make a mistake, it's obviously not there. And this is also why we always take another crew member in, a flight attendant, or if we're lucky there are some deadheading pilots on board and we bring them in, and in that case they can of course operate. Okay, but a cabin crew will be sitting there, they will be reading checklists, and the primary thing for them is not to actually check the systems, it's to check that the remaining pilot are conscious and aware and there's nothing bad happening to him or her. So there's always a fail-safe, even in the case of pilot incapacitation. Okay, Aiden 737, thank you, I have to say. Valerie Viskreno, Viskreno, I hope that's pronounced almost like that. Anyway, I heard that many airlines do not hire people over 31. Is that true? I've started a modular course at 30. Like I said before, no, I don't think that is true. I think that there might be some regional differences between airlines. You have to check it out when you're hiring, when you're looking for a job. I don't think that they will have any rule like that written out. Okay, it's going to be down to your cognitive skills and your general skills as a pilot eventually to get yourself in. Jordan Coles, did you hear about the first officer who was handcuffed and arrested at Gatwick? Just wondering what your thoughts are on that. Yes, I did read the article when it came out. It would be wrong of me to sit here and comment on things that I do not know. As far as I'm aware, according to the article, there was a flight attendant who called the police who noted that the person was acting weird. There might be many different reasons for that. So before the actual police report is out, then I wouldn't say anything about it. If it turns out that this was indeed an intoxicated person who went to work in a flight deck while being under influence of drugs or alcohol, it's extremely serious, and I am sure that British Airways, who was the involved company, is taking it very, very serious as well. But it might be many things, you know. For example, some kind of sicknesses can show itself like that, like you slurring or not walking properly or being, you know, having inertia problems. But you know, like I said, I never ever judge someone without having the final verdict out. So I don't really want to talk about colleagues before knowing what actually happened. Okay. All right, I'm trying to get back here. There's loads of you on Super Chat, and I don't want to miss anyone. So the subjects to be pilots in Canada, high school. I haven't checked the Canadian requirements. I'm sure that it's fairly easy to find out. What I would recommend, and what I always recommend to you guys who are asking me what you should be focusing on high school, is just go to a flight school that you are intending to go to, the one that you are aiming to. Go to them, talk to them, and ask them, you know, what should I be focusing on? What subjects should I be focusing on? It tends to be the natural science subjects like physics and mathematics. And the reason for that is because the ATPL theory and meteorology, navigation, all of those things includes a fair amount of physics. Like, you need to understand how the world works around you. You need to understand that the Earth is round, and yes, it is round, because I'm getting loads of questions about that as well. You need to understand what, you know, how the navigation works in terms of magnetic fields and basic physics, basically. And mathematics, there's quite a lot of that as well in navigation of formulas, meteorology as well to a certain extent, aerodynamics. There's loads of formulas that you need to understand, but we're not talking like rocket physics here. We're talking fairly simple mathematics, and also the fact that you need to be able to make some basic calculations in your head. So, you know, physics and math tends to be something that you should be focusing your skills on. Greg, Flight Sim, thank you very much. Hi mate, I followed you almost from your beginning. Today morning realized I never subbed you, so I did. Maybe it was number 9,999. You never know. Unfortunately, I have been trying to figure out which one was the 100,000 subscriber, but it's impossible for me to find out. First of all, the statistics on YouTube is like 2 days behind, so they haven't even registered. They've registered that I have over 100,000. I have 100,100 or something now, but they haven't registered exactly who subbed when, so I can't find that out, but maybe it was you. Thank you very much anyway. Jordan Coles, should have mentioned he was suspected of being under the influence of alcohol. Yeah, like I said in the comment, yes, I know that, but like it's very important, and this is always important when it comes to these things. We always say that he was even when we're talking about passengers who are quite obviously under the influence of alcohol, we just comment, we say he was not fit to fly. Okay, so in this case, he was not fit to fly, and that's the term and the phraseology to use until it has been determined that it was actually some kind of substance induced, and you know, it might still be an illness of some sort. Edward Cameron again. Edward, you're on fire today. I've been working really hard recently with exams coming up, but your story motivates me to work hard because you made a choice to work hard and now you're a pilot. And that's the way it works. And it works like that if you want to be a dentist as well, or if you want to be whatever it is, you will find your way forward. Okay, and you will have momentarily setbacks. That's something that I haven't mentioned as well, but you will come up against setbacks. That might be individual exams. I've heard people who have been contacting me over Facebook saying, listen, I missed this ATPL subject. Now, I should be mentioning here that I really want you guys to focus when you're doing your ATPL exams. All right, because the fact is that there are some airlines, most airlines actually, will look at your first time passes on your ATPL exams. Okay, so that means that it's better for you to kind of slow down the study rate, maybe not have too many subjects in each exam sitting, and make sure that you get first time passes on your ATPL exam, because that will help you when you're applying to some airlines. Now, having said that, it is completely human to fail. Okay, everyone does. It happens from time to time from different reasons, whatever. And if you do, there's nothing you can do about it, right? The failure is there, so now you just have to work your way forward. And the fact is that once you've gotten your first job, even though that might make it a little bit harder to get that first interview, once you pass that, and you will get past it, you know, the industry is perfect. It's booming at the moment. It's bubbling everywhere. There's jobs everywhere at the moment. Once you've gotten that first job, then no one will ever ask you about your ATPL scores ever again. Okay, it's just for that first threshold that it's important. But I do want to emphasize that, you know, spend a little extra time, think a little bit extra on how you're grouping the exams together, so that you do not put yourself in a situation where you might fail one of the exams because of time pressure, for example. I don't want to see that, okay, because I think it's really sad when it does happen. Moomin, I am 6'2", only 15. Can I become an airline pilot? How much is that in centimeters? It sounds that's 380, about 195 centimeters something. I've flown with first officers who's been well over 2 meters long, right? When you do your medical exam, if you are very, very tall or very short, you might have to do a fitness, like a flight test as part of your medical exam to make sure that you can actually fit in physically and you can use the rudder pedals without hitting your knees up in the yoke or things like that. So it might be part of that if it's extreme, but around 2 meters, not a problem. Mark J, thanks for the answer and congratulations on the 100K. Love your content. Thank you very much. As you can see, I am like a child today. I'm really, really happy. And that is all your doing. So thank you very much. Doug Pauly, again. See, that just doubles again. Right. So how much competition and one-upmanship is there between captains within and between airlines? Is there much ego involved in most captains? Yourself excluded? No, I'm not excluded in this. I'm just as much a part of the pilot group as anyone else. And here's one for the next 100,000. Yay! Right. Competition and one-upmanship between captains is very low. Right, it's almost non-existent, and the reason obviously being that you don't really get into contact with other captains that much. You sit in a flight deck together with the first officer, and the first officer obviously is second in command, which means there's no question, there's no competition there. It's just you just have to help each other out and have a good day. The only time that you might see any kind of competition going on is if it's if there is a competition about, for example, a training role or annual leave applications because of seniority or something like that, but very rarely. Mostly we just view each other as colleagues. We help each other out. You might not like someone, that's completely normal. It's just like, yeah, I'm sure there's loads of people watching this and thinking, what is that dude sitting there talking about? Like, why is he on YouTube? Muppet. Like I said in the beginning, don't listen to the haters, and I don't. Or at least I try not to, unless they're my bosses and they tell me to stop, which would be very sad. But no, there's not much competition going on. There tends to be some quite strong characters that have reached the position of airline captain in a bigger airline. So if they do strut against each other, then it can become interesting. But I've very rarely heard about that. Rafael Stolarczyk. So, what is harder, to achieve engineering degree or to get ATPL license? I have no idea because I don't have an engineering degree. I would guess that an engineering degree is harder because it's spread out over more years. ATPL exams, you can get the whole theory package done within a year. So there's less theory being done as compared to like a 5-year engineering degree. So I would say the engineering degree is probably harder than getting the ATPL exams. Now, getting a job, getting good ATPL scores, and then getting a job in this industry and getting a job as an engineer, what's harder there is hard to say. And thank you very much, by the way. David R, is it legal to listen to a passive air monitor to hear the communication between pilot and ATC on board an aircraft? On board an aircraft, I don't think so, because it's a radio transmitter, and you shouldn't have any radio transmitters working inside of the aircraft when they tell you not to. Okay. On the ground, yeah, of course you can listen to air traffic control, as long as you're not interfering in any way or you're transmitting without a radio license. You should be okay, all right? But listening should be fine. But inside of an aircraft, wouldn't do that. It would not be appreciated if the flight crew actually found it out, especially if they start getting interference from it. Right, don't want to get political here, but have you heard of the Ulyanovsk cadet satisfaction accident? I thought guys just had a good sense of humor. The most hilarious thing happened to you as a pilot. No, I haven't heard of that cadet satisfaction accident. Please send me the link via Facebook if you have a chance. I thought the guys just had a good time. Hilarious things happen to me as a pilot. You know, there's loads of things. I can't come up with like a great thing right now. But you get into some weird ass situations. I have to think actually. Most of the time those situations are hilarious only after, because when you're in the situation with a passenger who's peeing on his seat or something, it's not hilarious. It's something that you need to deal with. ATC can be quite funny. They're very quick. Sometimes people make mistakes. They say stuff and they're very quick at it. I think I heard, I think it was in Dublin. I'm not sure if I heard it or if it was a friend of mine was listening in Dublin when there was a PA-28 who came in, was taxiing, and then just suddenly went to ATC and said, listen, we're now 3 instead of 2 people on board. And ATC came in and it's like, well, let me be the first to congratulate. And then there was like a horde of Ryanair's and Aer Lingus aircraft who came in like, yay, congratulations. You know, stuff like that happens, and it happens quite frequently actually. As for otherwise, it's just the normal stuff that you would have on any kind of workplace, I'd say. Les Chase, thank you very much. Hi, I flew from London City last Sunday and the airport does not use tugs. Have you ever been to such an airport? Yeah, I have. I've been in Thailand, where they fly mostly turboprops, and the turboprops are actually reversing themselves out of gate. It felt very strange to do that, but when it's legal, it's legal. You know, I'm getting a lot of questions of that. Of course, the 737 can reverse itself out, but it's not. We don't do that because it would be, I mean, a huge risk to ground personnel, and also the fact that that the engines are undermounted. If we would use reverses on stand, it would throw up loads of dust and stones and shit, and it would be sucked immediately into the engines. You would see that people who are reversing themselves out of gate tend to be either high-mounted engines or turboprops, which are less susceptible to FOD damage. So, foreign object damage, FOD. So, no, we don't do it. I have not been in an airport where, well, what I have been to is airports that doesn't use tugs, but you can self-position out. All right, so that you put the aircraft in a position where you still have free radius of turn. That we do a lot, right? That we do on almost a daily basis. But that just means that you start up the engines and you drive out. So it's not much to it really. So Scott Bunting, do you do PAs also in Swedish if you fly to Sweden, Norway, and Denmark? Yeah, I do. Yeah, when I fly to Scandinavia, I try to do it, providing I have time and it doesn't interfere in any way with the cockpit work. Then I try to do it both in English and in Swedish. Yes. Subjects are math, physics only to have an ATPL? No, in an ATPL you need to do all of the different subjects included in the ATPL. What I'm talking about is the subjects that is required normally in order to start a flight school, like your school subjects that you need to have some kind of a grade in before you're starting your ATPL subjects. The ATPL subjects are 13, if not 14 now. Anyway, subjects that includes, you know, all of the different stuff: aircraft general, navigation, performance, what is it? Meteorology, human factors. There's loads of them. Okay, so those you have to pass in order to get your ATPL frozen to start with. Gary Heath. If you were 31 with a family in the United States, what would be safer bet to keep a roof over family? Fixed wing or rotorcraft? Well, generally speaking, there's a lot more work available in fixed wing. Okay, so fixed wing there's a lot more to choose from. However, they might not be fantastically paid. Now, if you know someone who has a helicopter and needs you as a helicopter pilot, then that might be that's a different thing. Okay, but generally speaking, there are very few jobs available in rotorcraft, and it's extremely expensive to train yourself to become a helicopter pilot. So unless you have that from your Navy experience, your military experience, or something like that, it's going to cost you a lot of money to get yourself a CPL instrument rating with helicopter. So that would be something to keep in mind. Okay, much more choice, but so it's almost impossible for me to answer that question without knowing if you have any insights into the industry or any contacts or so. But generally speaking, if you don't have any contacts, then going for fixed wing is a much safer bet. Please, could you make more flight vlogs? Yes, I can. The reason that I'm not doing them now is because I'm in the simulator. All right. During the next couple of months, I will be pretty much exclusively in the simulator. I think I'm flying again in 2 weeks. So while I'm doing that, when I'm in the sim, first of all, I can't show you my students or what they're doing in the simulator. Obviously, they haven't signed up to this. Okay, and you wouldn't like just me sitting and filming myself in the simulator. It would just be too boring. So at the moment, I'm holding the vlogs until I'm doing more flying. And when I'm doing more flying, providing there's time and I can do it on the ground, I will be doing more vlogs. Absolutely. Is young Padawan joke between cap and first officer thing? Not me, all right. Might be people who does it. I'm sure there is some of that going on. I haven't had any Yoda, me, airplane fly high moment so far. But there's loads of banter going on between the flight deck. We're sitting there, 12 hours just staring at each other. So yeah, I would expect it to be some of that banter going on. Jesse, thank you very much. Right, it's jumping for me here. David R. To clarify, I cannot speak into the radio, only listen to communication. All it is an FM radio with a speaker. Well, like I said again, if you would ask the flight crew or the cabin crew and they would say that it would be okay to listen to, that would be one thing. But I am fairly sure that any kind of radio, like, I'm not, to be perfectly honest, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think that we have allowed radio receivers on board anyway. But it could, you could always ask if you listen, if you're allowed to do it or not. I would still suspect that since it actually is radio equipment, it probably is not allowed. And like always when it comes to this industry, we're always more safe than sorry. When we don't know if something actually has the capacity to do it or not, then we will say no. But check it. Why not? They might say, yeah, sure. Skjalg Als Lubovsky, congratulations to 100k subs. Love your channel. Thank you very much. It's great to hear, and I see there's loads of you. There's almost 500 people here listening to this now, which is incredible. It's incredible to see. Daniel Bengtsson. Hi, Captain Petra. I just wanted to congratulate you to 100,000 subscribers. Thank you very much. Edward Cameron. Have you been to Timisoara? I have not flown to Timisoara in Romania yet, unfortunately. Where have I been in Romania? I've been to Oradea. I've flown to Oradea in Romania, but I have not flown to Timisoara yet. Jordan Coles, what is it like? Sorry, I just skipped one here. So, once again, I know you've been to St. Petersburg, but have you landed in other Russian airports? If so, what do you think of them as a pilot? Ever stayed in Russia? I actually haven't even flown to St. Petersburg. I've never flown to Russia yet, alright? So I can't speak about that. I'm looking forward to the first time. I love flying into new countries and see how they're like. But I haven't flown to Russia yet, so I can't say anything about that. Sese21, following you close from the beginning. Do you remember the first video about uniform? I see you on Patreon. Thank you, Gabriele. I remember the first video about uniform that I did. I spoke pretty much about, but like some of the older videos that I did, and you will see that I'm probably going to redo some of them. I want to do more videos about how I did when I became a pilot, what I was thinking about, stuff like that. But I want to make them in better, higher quality, because the first videos that I did were really, really subpar when it came to quality. So you will see that most like some of the new videos will come up with more information, more detailed information. The first videos I did, I just sat in front of a computer and spoke straight into the camera. Like I didn't even prepare very much. I just spoke straight from what I had in my head. Now I have to research a little bit more and do a little bit more work on each video to make sure that you guys get the best possible attention. It was different having 22 subscribers to having 100,000 subscribers. All right, so Jordan calls. What's it like landing at an airport you've been to many times versus landing at an airport you've never been to before? Like when do you have to use an alternative? Yeah, like as a pilot, you always like things you know. All right. If you fly into a place that you're familiar with, like your home base, it's always better for you because you have to spend less of your attention on silly small things, okay, and you can spend more of it on just monitor the aircraft and see what's different. So if I fly home to Girona, for example, where I've landed many times by now, then I know the arrivals and everything by heart, more or less. I still brief them because there might be some differences, you never know, but I can spend my time focusing, for example, on my cadet, on my student. Right. When I'm flying into a brand new place where the layout of the runways are different, taxiways are different, I have to spend much more of my brain capacity on making sure that I'm doing the right thing, that I'm following all the local procedures and stuff like that. So I have less brain capacity to monitor my student, for example, and stuff like that. So I prefer going into places that I know, because we like to be as safe as possible, and that kind of is included in knowing this place you go to. Having said that, it's also interesting to see new places. So I love having new destinations, because obviously you have to prepare for them. You read up at home and stuff like that, and then you get to see something new. So that it's a kind of a mixed thing. It's two different sides of the coin. David Albert, please help me with this interview question. At the moment, there are XX pilots at home not working, but experts say that there's a pilot shortage. Why is that in your opinion? Okay. Yeah, I don't, what they want you to say there is that some people have been trained but are not qualified, that they still cannot get through the test. And unfortunately, to a certain extent, that is true. So even though there might be pilots who have gone through all of the exams needed to get their pilot license and stuff, they might not be able to push through the exam questions, or they might have multiple failures in their theoretical exams that just stops them from ever getting that first interview. Okay, so that is, unfortunately, it's the sad truth that even though there is a pilot shortage in some places in the world, not all places, but places like, for example, America to a certain extent, and also in Europe at the moment, and definitely in Asia, there will still be people who are qualified to fly but will still not be able to get through the tests, the entrance exams and the entrance tests that the airlines have, which means that they're sitting in a kind of a limbo, which is really unfortunate. And I think that there are some organizations out there now, like Cura Aviation, for example, or what is the other one? But there's several of them in the UK who's kind of dedicated of getting people in who are coming from schools, so maybe less good reputations and stuff, training them up and fine-tuning their skills, fixing their MCC skills and stuff like that, and then pushing them in through their connections into different airlines. So I think that is something that can solve this for people who get into that situation. But that is a sad truth. Even though their airlines might yearn for pilots, maybe they need loads and loads of pilots, they will still not lower their bar. Okay, they cannot. They have an entrance exam. You have to be able to get through that. Even though you need 100 people and there's only 20 people who get through that first exam, you can only take those 20 people because you have to keep the safety of the airline first, and that's what they do. So if they have been poorly trained or for whatever reason they cannot get through that safety barrier, then something has to be done, but it has to be done on the individual side, not on the airline side, right? It's very important that the airlines do not lower the bar for this. Even though that might be really, and some of you who is listening to this might hear that and think, well, that's me. There are some ways around that, or you can sharpen your skills through different ways. And I will soon be coming with some news, by the way, those of you who are watching this. I'm kind of partnering up with a company who's expert at helping people getting through exams and kind of filing up their CVs and stuff like that. And I'm working together with them to provide you guys with tools for doing that. But that is news that will come soon. All right, I'm just giving you a little bit of a teaser for that. Okay, let's chase. Just to let you know, London City Airport aircraft actually turned away from the terminal for boarding, and it was an Embraer. Yeah. So that's, in that case, it's just self-maneuvering, which we do quite often actually. Self-maneuvering is not harder than that. The only thing you have to be careful with is when you're turning away from the terminal, not to put too much thrust up, because you can actually damage the terminal building. Then Sino, hi Captain, what's your favorite button on the 737? It's probably the toga button. But I do like the old light switches as well. It used to have this bar that you can kind of switch all the lights on with one movement. I really like that because it was a cool thing when you got clear to land. Switch on all of the lights outside, which is a nice feeling. But the toga button otherwise is a favorite of mine. Need to choose what subjects need to be as an airline pilot from Diego Carvalho. Yeah, like I said, math and physics. Try to get maybe some geography, stuff like that in things that make sense if you think about it. David R, can you discuss why flights between the US and Europe go so far north, sometimes over Greenland? I'm sure it's the same. It's a true crossing of the Pacific. Perhaps you can make a video on that. Yeah, it's something called a Great Circle Track. Okay, a Great Circle Track is the shortest possible line between 2 points on a globe. Okay, so if you have a globe and you want to get from A to B in the shortest possible way, you have to draw a line that corresponds a cut of the globe in the center. All right. So if you have let's say that you have an orange, and you take a knife and you cut it bang in the center. Okay, that cut, if you flatten it out, will correspond with the closest possible point between, the closest possible track between 2 points. So that means that when you're looking at a flat chart, it looks like the tracks are bent up towards the pole. But if you would actually look at the globe, which the Earth is, you will see a straight line, because that's how it is. It's just a straight line that cuts the core of the Earth in middle. So that's what it is, and that's why it looks like that. Tony San, I am in the year 11 Australia student, and I'm interested in Jetstar cadetship program. How should I prepare for it? I'm not familiar with the Jetstar program. Okay, I'm sure that they have some quite good guidance material if you go in and you look for it. And other things is just, we have this wonderful tool which is the internet. I'm sure that there are peep rune like, I don't know what they call them on peep rune, but like strings that you can follow and see other people who've gone to the cadet selection before tell you what exactly you need. I don't have any experience myself about it, so to check it out, just Google it, talk to other people who have been involved in it, go in and get whatever information that you can get from the cadet program itself, and that's a good way to start. Ahmet Musi, thank you very much. Captain 777, congrats Peter, I love your work. What advice would you give to someone who does not have finances for training but has a lot of talent? Yeah, so Captain 777, that's exactly what I said a little bit earlier on in the live stream, that you, if you have loads of talent, maybe, first of all, check if there's any government-sponsored program available in your country of any sort, okay? That is probably the best way to go through it. The second thing is to you know, there's no way around it. You just have to try to get your finances some other way. So check out Dyfrig and his videos that he did on the subject in the Mentor Cadets playlist, or you just get yourself a job in whatever part of the sector. You know, it doesn't have to be aviation related. It can just be something that pays for your bills and for your flight training, and then use that to you know, push your way through at least the PPL stage, possibly into the CPL stage, and maybe you can take a small loan at the end in order to finance that last bit. Okay, but try to keep the costs as low as possible. You know, it's unfortunately there's not much more I can say about that. There's loads of different ways people have been, you know, setting up companies to sell stuff to finance their training, or started applications and that has financed their training. And like the sky is the limit when it comes to this. You can become rich in your pursuit of becoming a pilot, but you know, you have to think slightly outside of the box in most cases. I know that's easier said than done, but that's the best I can give you at at the moment. Thank you, by the way. Edward Cameron. Aircraft have to turn around at Timisoara at stand. Yeah, it's very likely that that's very common actually, especially when on smaller airports, it tends to not be able to take many aircraft, and the aircraft that do come in, they have to be able to turn around. So yeah, it's fairly common. Cool. All right, so I'll take some questions as well from the Mentor Aviation chat before I finish this off, because I've been doing this for an hour now. Right, Mentor, what's your opinions on quad jets like the A380 and the 747? Yeah, unfortunately, I think the quad jets time is probably running towards an end. I know that the 380 was just salvaged, just kind of saved by the bell by Emirates, but the fact is that new two-engine, bigger engine aircraft are becoming more efficient, more fuel efficient, and efficient in every single way. So I think probably looking forward, we will see more dual, like huge two-engine jets and less four-engine jets, because not only are they less fuel efficient, but also there's more maintenance involved, costs more to run all these four engines. So unless something seriously changes, I think we probably won't see many huge four-engine jets going forward. Have you ever been used to use the word pan? Yeah, I have actually. Last year I had a medical emergency, in which case we started off as a pan, which is an urgency. The difference between a mayday and an urgency is that mayday is an emergency, while pan is a distress or an urgency call. So urgency means that you might get priority, not necessarily, while a mayday will definitely get you priority. But yeah, I have used that. More than Mentor, could you tell me about the ground marshals, their task and hand signals? I'm thinking about applying for ground service job in the summer. Yeah, I might be able to do a video on that actually. I can't be showing it here because it looks silly. But sure, when it comes to ground signals and stuff, I'm gonna need some help from the guys working maybe here in Girona, if they are willing to help me with that. But I'll see what I can do, because it's a great idea for a video. And by the way, guys, there's loads of new videos coming up. I'm thinking continuously about things to do, and I'm getting quite a lot of questions about things like two captains, can they fly together, and two first officers, stuff like that. So there's loads more of things in the pipeline, which I'm hoping that you will really like. Okay, cool. So I will just make sure that I have taken all of the super chat questions here. Diego Carvalho, thanks for answers in 3 years, starting training for ATPL. Diego, best of luck to you. I'm sure that you'll do great. Rafal Stolacik, how much time does it usually take us to start to fly after successful recruitment, including contract pilots and starting your own company? Well, that depends. If you include the training, like the initial training, if you're doing the ab initio training, will take as little as 2 years. If you do if you do modular training, it might take longer than that. But if you're talking about after successful recruitment into an airline, that depends on the airline. But generally speaking, after you've been recruited, there will be a waiting time to start a type rating, which might be as short as just a couple of days and as long as a couple of months. Okay, once the type rating starts, that will take about 2 months-ish to get done. and then you can count on about 2 more months at least doing line training, so that's 4 months. So count on half a year before you're out flying on line. All right, just count on that, and it can get much quicker than that. It can get slower, unfortunately, as well. But it all depends on what airline and what kind of training program they're doing. Okay, to do. Thank you for the answer from David Albert. Congrats for 100k subs. You deserve it. Thank you. On February, I'm going to an FTE assessment. Saludos. Saludos. Buena suerte. Can you take a loan to cover the training costs from LJ? Yeah, you can, but you're gonna have to. Normally, you need to have some kind of backer for that. Like you might need to make the loan against some kind of security, which might be your parents' house or might be something else. Very few banks will just let you take a loan without the kind of security. Lloyd Cole Nolan, I don't know if you had any question. If you did, then contact me on Facebook later on. Thank you very much for your support. Andre John, hello, greetings from Brazil. What's your opinion on high automation and pilots in general relying too much on it? Do you prefer more manual control? It's never good when there's too much of something. Okay, too much reliance on autopilots and automation is not good, because you will at some point or another need your manual flying skills. So the best is some kind of a mix of it. What I think is that modern pilots need to use automation as much as possible, because it is helpful from a safety point of view, right? It gives them more capacity to monitor what's going on around them, and in 9 times out of 10 the autopilot does a very good job, right? What we should be doing is we should be in places that we are well familiar with, under good weather conditions, and when there's not too much traffic, we should be practicing disconnecting. We still should be using flight directors and stuff like that, because we cannot just be practicing with passengers on board. But hand flying, disconnecting prior to localizer intercept and hand flying the approach, including flap extension and stuff, is good handling. All right, we need to get the feeling for the aircraft in. And also, any harder stuff than that, like raw data flying and stuff, should be done, but in a simulator. We should be training much more raw data and simulator. My company is focusing heavily on doing exactly that, to make sure that our pilots get to fly raw data, get to do, upset and recovery technique programs, UPRTs, and stuff like that. So it is happening, all right, because there has been a realization in the industry the last few years, especially after the Air France catastrophe, that there needs to be more focus on the manual handling skills and recognition skills of the pilots. So it's coming more and more. Jordan Coles, congratulations on 100k. Do you have any favorite call signs? Speedbird, British Airways Speedbirds is probably the coolest call sign out there. There is one I heard as well, Batman. I like that one. You've probably seen my Batman intro, so that one is a favorite. But Speedbird is probably my favorite. And Speedbird just reminds me of the Concorde. Augusto Rey, hi. Is it true that Ryanair has a policy of maximum 3 fail in the ATPL subjects in order to call you for an interview? I don't know. I honestly do not know what exactly the number of fails you can have and stuff are, but I do know that some airlines, and I cannot speak for Ryanair because recruitment is close to me, does look at the ATPL fails and the pass rate and the how good you've done in your exams, but how many fails you can have and stuff like that, I have no idea. All right, unfortunately that's the case. Diego Carvalho, thanks for the answers, and I thought you've answered all. Yeah, I think so. I hope so. Thank you very much, all of you guys. I'm going to take some questions here from the normal chat as well, because those poor guys who haven't used the super chat haven't had a chance so far. I hope you guys are in the Mentour Aviation app, by the way. All of you who are watching this, I hope that you've got the app, and if you haven't, download it. It's completely free. Is there an FM radio in the cockpit? We have VHF radios in the cockpit, and we also have HF. FM? No, not really. Good night, Mentor. I just had a question. Since you live in Barcelona, do you speak Spanish and or Catalan? Yeah, I speak rudimentary Spanish. I understand Catalan. I don't speak it very much, but my kids speak Catalan and Spanish, so I have to speak a little bit, all right? But it's not as much as I should be doing, okay? Do you know what happened to the Pegasus plane that skid off the runway? No. And this is, we very rarely talk about the incidents that's happened before the final report is out. Okay, it looked very weird. It looked very strange indeed. Normally, when you have runway excursions, it is due to either slippery runways or unstabilized approaches that shouldn't have been landed in the first place, or something. But in this case, it was a very long runway actually, and it was just at the end. The thing that I was thinking about when I looked at the pictures is that there is a turn-off area exactly where they turned off, but on the other side of the runway, which made me think, you know, since there was low vis when they landed and stuff, maybe there's a possibility that they took the wrong turn, but I wouldn't, that's just speculation. I have no idea. It could be absolutely anything. So we're gonna have to wait until the final report comes out and see what happens. It's gonna be very interesting to read. I'm just very happy that everyone was okay, that everyone came out safe. Victor Ulgate, if I'm Swedish, yes, I am Swedish. And with that, let's see. One captain said, and with that, I'm just going to make sure that all of the super chat questions have been answered. I do believe they have. It's been an absolutely fantastic evening. Guys, thank you very much once again for this. Thank you for your subscriptions, your support, all of your nice comments so far. Continue to send in your questions. Make sure that you recommend the channel to all of your friends, that you share it on Facebook and in Instagram. And until next time, guys, there was just one more question coming up here from Diego. Do airlines see your subjects in high school or not? In some cases they do, but most cases they don't care about your high school results. All right, so don't worry too much about that. What your results in high school is going to be important is actually getting into the flight school and understanding these subjects in the beginning. Okay, so that's what you should be worrying on. That's why people should be spending a lot of time in school. Make sure you get good grades there, because it's going to help you when it comes to doing your ATPL subjects later on. And on that bombshell, my friends, have an absolutely fantastic evening wherever you are, and make sure that you watch my video coming up on Thursday. Take care of yourself, and bye-bye.